He's getting older.
Come with me if you want to live.
But not wiser.
Pour some sugar on me.
This is The Lefty Show.
Welcome, everybody, to The Lefty Show. I am your host, Lefty. Glad to be here with all of you today, which is the 11th of July in the year of our Spaghetti Monster 2014 for episode 54 of The Lefty Show. 54 glorious episodes, if I do say so myself. 54 glorious episodes of The Lefty Show have gone by. Thank you all for joining me on YouTube and watching, liking, and favoriting and subscribing on YouTube. YouTube.com/LeftyOX is where you can go to find the show in its YouTube formation. You can also check out some gaming content and vlogging content there. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's easy to do so. Just go to @Lefty643. That's twitter.com/Lefty643. Really easy to do if you want to follow me on Twitter. Stay up to date on all my musings and all the things going on. That's twitter.com/Lefty643. And thank you all for sharing the show with your friends, family, and coworkers, helping us climb the ranks. Climbing the ranks ever so slightly on the iTunes comedy podcast list. With I believe we got as high as 71 yesterday. It was really cool. Thank you to everybody that's been sharing the show with your friends, family, and coworkers. Go to leftyshow.podbean.com if you want to take the show with you on your mobile device and download the RSS or subscribe to the RSS feed there manually. That's leftyshow.podbean.com. There's a link in the YouTube description. Or you can go to your favorite podcasting Android app of choice and search The Lefty Show. You will for sure find us there. You can also go to the iTunes Store and search The Lefty Show. Just head on over to the iTunes Store, pop on down there, and search The Lefty Show, and you'll find us. Be sure to subscribe. It does help out the show with seating, and we're climbing the ranks. We really are. It's really cool. I thank you all for helping me out. Just go to the iTunes Store and search The Lefty Show. I thank you all for doing that. Thank you to everybody that's been donating. imraising.com/643 Productions. If you want to donate, help keep the show going, just go to imraising.com/643 Productions. Speaking of donations, we got this Patreon thing going with Painkiller already, and recently we asked somebody to take down their hosting of PKA on an RSS feed, which iTunes pointed to. And they had all the PKA branding there, all that stuff. And we asked them to take it down, and we were talking about it on the subreddit. And apparently, people are just going nuts. And I'm taking a break from this show, if you follow me on Twitter @Lefty643, or I'm taking a break from the idiocy to record this show because I just look around and I see these posts that people make and vilifying the hosts and having an issue with, oh my God, how could you dare to take this guy down? And what are you doing to him? He would have helped you. And I said, yeah, but he was pirating our shit. He's not a bad guy, but the fact remains he was pirating stuff that he did not own. That's simple. That's factual. Everything is satisfactual. But that's the truth, and that's actual, and everything is satisfactual. That's the truth. That's pirating. Downloading stuff you don't own and posting it to something that the owner of the material doesn't own or have access to, and which you control, is pirating. It's not criminal. It shouldn't be criminal. That's the thing. People say, oh, you're calling him a criminal now? I say, well, what would you call it? What do you want to call it? Oh, he's helping the show. Well, okay, but if some guy really makes really, really nice bread, right? He's got one of those, I don't know, he's on the side of the road selling bread. How many people are on the side of the road selling bread? I have no idea. Let's say it's a burgeoning market. And he's in on the ground floor and he makes really, really, really good bread, but you can't afford it. You can only get it there, but you said, man, if I could take this to the local supermarket and I could get into that supermarket and tell the owner of the supermarket, say, hey, look, check out this guy's bread. It's really good, isn't it? Right? It's amazing. It's so cool. It's the best bread I've ever tasted. Oh my God. And oh man, it'd be amazing. And this guy would make so much money. And then I wouldn't have to go to the side of the road in this rural area to get this bread. It would be available in my supermarket. It's so amazing. It would be good for everybody. Everybody would be involved. but you don't have the money to buy bread. You don't have it. And let's say, for whatever reason, you decide not to contact the guy and ask, hey, can I have some of your bread to take and show to the supermarket guy and perhaps put it there so that everybody can consume your bread and know how awesome it is in the supermarket? Instead of doing that, you just go, and while he's not looking, you take a piece of bread. Without his consent, you don't ask, you just take it, and you don't pay for it or do anything like that. You don't give any compensation. You just take it, and then you go to the supermarket and you hand it to the manager, and the manager goes, holy shit, this is amazing bread. Oh my God, I'm going to recreate this and give it to all my customers. You say, amazing, yes. And technically, everybody has, quote, won. Let's forget for the moment about the fact of compensation for the bread and it's a product rather than, all this stuff. But without the consent of the guy selling the bread on the side of the road, you took it and went to the supermarket. You stole. You're a thief. You're not criminal. It's not criminal because we're talking about copyrighted material and it's all digital and all that shit, and I wouldn't argue it's criminal, but the fact remains, you stole that loaf of bread. And to look at that and be like, oh my God, you're calling him a thief. This is what happened. What do you want to call it? Aggressive marketing campaign? You want to dress it in flowery language so nobody feels bad? No, you stole it. It wasn't yours, but you took it and treated it as yours. That's stealing. That's what that is. And to say, well, you stole that. It's not to say, oh, you're just a piece of shit. You just say, oh, okay, so you stole it. You stole it. And similarly, this guy pirated episodes of PKA and posted them to an RSS feed he controlled. He pirated Painkiller Already. And that's it. It's not, we asked him to stop and he did, and that's all. To freak out because we are actually describing what happened, piracy is what happened. You say, yeah, he pirated it. Oh my God, you're calling him a criminal. What do you want? And I asked many people, I said, okay, well then what would you call it? What would you call it? Because you are ascribing all these other things to my usage of the word, where I simply meant it as he pirated it, as in it's not his, he took it and uploaded it to something that he controls. That's piracy. And that's it, and that's all. You're ascribing all these things like, oh, you're calling him a criminal, you're treating him poorly. And it's just pirating. That's what that is. What would you call it? And nobody has a word. Nobody's got nothing. They just, just the worst part about it is that it's just very clearly manufactured outrage. It's people who were taking part of and benefiting from pirated content. And now that PKA has a competing product, and we asked, rightfully so, for this guy to take down the feed, they get all upset because they can no longer get pirated content. They no longer get to partake in the spoils of pirated content, and they just want to be upset about it. And so they wrap it all in oh, you're being mean. No, you're just moron, simpleton children. I don't care how biologically old you are. You have the intellect of a child, and you're just, no longer get pirated content. What the fuck? Now, on the flip side of that coin, though, you're not actually a criminal. And somebody asked, like, oh, is that not criminal if you call him a pirate? I say no. Because why the fuck would pirating copyrighted material in any way be criminal? On any scale you want. Pick any scale you want. Right? Painkiller Already. Pretty big podcast. Certainly not the biggest. I don't think anybody would delude themselves into thinking that, but pretty fucking big. Right? Any scale you want, pirating of Painkiller Already content is not criminal. I know the DMCA makes it technically criminal or whatever the fuck, but that's bullshit. The government should not be involved in me. They should give me, by law, they should give me a platform to go civilly after somebody, but in no way can content piracy ever be criminal. It's no scale. I don't care. I don't care if you're pirating Game of Thrones. I don't care if you're pirating whole-scale movies. I don't care if you are providing the servers for people to pirate. It shouldn't be fucking criminal. That's insane. Because now we're putting people in jail for what? For copying zeros and ones? And even on a large enough scale, going after them for damages, making them civilly liable is crazy. What the fuck, Capitol Records? You don't have enough? Honestly, you don't have enough? Bullshit. There's no money in the music industry anymore. There's no money in selling music anymore. Bullshit. I call bullshit. It's not other people's problem that your business model is inefficient. And it's probably not that inefficient. You're probably just bitching and whining over making 2% less. Whenever piracy, whatever bullshit piracy stats you want to throw out. Even on a large enough scale, you have to stretch to make the case of going after people civilly. And so to say the guy's a pirate, or to say anybody's a pirate, to me at least, I don't know how, and I would hope other people would ascribe to this usage, is that it's just a way to describe what's going on. It's just a way to describe what happened. Not to say, oh, you're a pirate, yar. Not to say that. It's just, oh, okay, well, you're pirating that movie. Well, all right. You gained access to this specific series of zeros and ones that you would otherwise not have access to. And, okay, well, that's called pirating. And it's, okay, whatever. It's wholly different than stealing a thing. Because this gets into more of a technical legal concept in what is a thing, and how do you treat digital goods? Do you treat them as loaves of bread, as individual loaves of bread? Because I can't just individually copy at my discretion, almost with 100% accuracy ad infinitum. I can't copy loaves of bread like that. I can't do it. And each loaf of bread is its own thing, whereas each copy of a digital movie distributed digitally, or a digital game, or anything, is digital. And it's a copy of a copy. How do I? It's all mired, and it's all really technical, and actually an interesting discussion. But just on the whole, thinking, yeah, we prosecute people criminally for stealing items. You go in and you rob a liquor store. That's a crime. I believe you can go after, like, if the liquor store owner wanted to go after you civilly, I believe he could. Or she could, or whatever, but it just so happens that you don't want to because they don't fucking have anything. Because, I'm going to go after you in court. Yeah, but why the fuck do you think I'm robbing the liquor store, dude? It's because I have nothing. What are you going to take? You want to take 50% of nothing? Fine, have at it. I always said that. Then people that get crying and whining about, you'll get sued on YouTube for copyrighted material. And I say, Or you'll get sued for saying this or saying that about somebody, about Microsoft, about Activision, anything, right? And I say, what? What are they going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to take 50% of nothing. Okay. I would love to be the guy put out of business because I'm talking about something and somebody in some way that I don't like. Because I got nothing. Penn Jillette and Teller, when they wrote for Bullshit, their awesome Showtime series, I wish it was still around. The reason they say bullshit and not scam, not pyramid scheme, the reason they call people assholes and cocksuckers and not weasels or con artists is because scam, pyramid scheme, con artist, and I believe weasel are all actionable terms because you're making a definitive statement about somebody's business. Again, it's all the lawyers told them. You can call people asshole, cocksuckers, bitches, cunts, whatever, but you just can't say that they're a con artist because then they can sue you for that. And I certainly do that myself. When I call people asshole, cocksucker, bitch tits or something like that, it's not because I know them personally. I'm like, let me tell you guys right now, that sheriff in that bumfuck county, deputy dipshit, yeah, the guy's a real asshole. I know him. He's a total dick. Let me tell, I gotta tell you what, that guy, total dick. Biggest dick, not the big cock, he's just a total dick you ever seen. It's crazy. Just the biggest douchebag you'd ever want to know. You don't want to bring him inside your own house. He's a dick. It's not because of that. It's just I take my lead from that idea and I say, oh, okay, well, if this ever becomes something, not that it's anything now, but if this ever becomes something, I don't want to be the guy that's, all of a sudden I put my foot in my mouth when I say, oh, that fucking guy that's, I'm doing a story and I'm like, that guy's a con artist. And then I'm sued and all of a sudden the guy has action against me. But that's why I use that's why I call people assholes, shit faces, hairy cunt lickers instead of what I actually believe they are, criminals, I don't know, liars, thieves, whatever. But at this point, everybody's worried, oh my God, and Penn and Teller have something to lose. Showtime has something to lose. Penn and Teller would probably be named personally, but certainly Showtime, and Showtime would be on the hook for that, and they don't want to. But me, what are you gonna take? What are you gonna take? You're gonna take half of my computer? Okay. All right, go ahead. I would love to say something about somebody, some celebrity, some businessman, some Wall Street fucking asshole, some CEO, and have them sue me. I want that because then I can go on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, or anything like that and say, look what this motherfucker, I'm nobody and he wants 75% of nothing and he's trying to fuck me and look at all this. And then I can say on The Lefty Show, go to iTunes, search The Lefty Show and subscribe there. So I'm not worried about, I tend not to angst over somebody suing me in that way. And I forget where I was going with that. I'm too many layers deep. Oh my God, what I need is the Inception sound. Whenever I get two layers deep, I'll play that sound up. But getting back to what I was talking about, I don't think people should be charged criminally for pirating copyrighted material. It's just the fuck you doing? Because the only really case you can make for damages, if you're not Capitol Records or you're not MGM or Paramount or any of the other gigantic movie studios, is the only real case is for somebody like me, somebody like the size of Painkiller Already. Shit, even probably Adam Carolla, because if somebody's ripping the content whole cloth and purporting it to be their own or taking it and presenting it someplace else without the consent of the owner, that has the chance to really hurt the bottom line. Even if 1 million people downloaded a Katy Perry song without paying for it, Capitol Record or whoever she signed with, they're going to get their money. They're going to get their end. It's just, you're going to make 1% you're going to make 1% less, or you're going to make 5% less. But me, and to this extent, Painkiller Already, that has the chance to do some real harm because we don't have the income stream of Capitol Records. If you take 10, 20, 30% of our viewership, that's 10, 20, 30% of a couple 100,000. That's a big number that we can't sell to advertisers now. So you're damn right we're going to be like, what the fuck? What are you doing? No, and to get all panties in a twist about the use of the word pirate or thief, it's just, you just want to be angry about things. You don't like this, but you want to be angry about it because you feel you should, because you feel something was taken away from you, which it wasn't, and you want to be angry about it, and so you're just going to bitch and moan and say we're assholes and treating this guy unfairly, when all we really did was say, yeah, you pirated it, and it happened for a while, and we didn't know about it, and now we're competing, and we'd like you to take it down. If we really wanted to be assholes, we'd go after the guy for damages. If we really did. We're not. Of course we're not. That'd be ridiculous. That would be unreasonable. Oh, I love reasonable. Oh, I just love that term. I love it. It works so well. Just when you're trying to think, shit, not even legally, morally, ethically, anything. Ask yourself, or when you're trying to think of something, when you're trying to think of or give your thoughts on something else, just apply reason. Is that reasonable? Ask yourself, you have an inherent understanding. You have an idea, unless you're a crazy person. But even then, even crazy people have an idea of what's reasonable. It's just fucking crazy. Ask yourself, is this reasonable? Is this contract reasonable? If it is, okay. May not be what you want, but if it's reasonable, you go, oh, well, yeah, okay. Is this request reasonable? Or in the case of what I'm talking about now, is the usage of the term pirate reasonable? And you look around and you say, okay, well, that's what happened. The guy was taking digital content that did not own to him, that he did not own, did not own to him. That did not own to him, praise be to Dale. That did not belong to him and taking it somewhere else. Not nefariously, but that doesn't matter. Piracy does not talk about it. It matters not intent. It's just, did you take it? Yeah. Did you own it? Well, no. Oh, yeah, that's piracy. Okay. I think that's a reasonable usage of the term. But apparently, people that just want to be really upset are going to be really upset. And then I want to ask these people, is your outrage right now, given everything that's been said, given everything that you think we said, is your outrage reasonable? Look at yourself. Look at everything you're all upset about. Look at you. You're upset with the host. You're upset with Painkiller already. You're upset with me. I was told by a guy, this is a line from some asshole, I guess I should expect this kind of thing from you. You don't care about right and wrong. You just care about yourself. And I was, what? I said, what? The first comment I replied to, he said, instead of making him out to be someone who stole content and such. And I replied, I quoted that, and I said, that's pretty much exactly what happened. I'm not angry with the guy for doing it necessarily, but that's what happened. Why does this fact seem so hard for you to accept? And the tagline for this guy was, he went on some whole diatribe, and he signed it off with, I guess I should expect this kind of thing from you. You don't care about right and wrong. You just care about yourself. Oh, my brain's melting. So I had to get away from reddit.com/r/PK for a while and do this. And it's funny. It's really interesting. If you're a fan of Reddit, if you're not on Reddit or if you're considering it, I highly encourage you to go there. Not to post necessarily if you don't want to, but just people watch. Because one of the chief criticisms of Reddit that I definitely see as valid is that it's a gigantic circle jerk. There's no such thing as a real dissenting opinion rising to the top of Reddit. There's no real challenge to the status quo. Reddit is a more liberal, at least in terms of politics, when that kind of thing, when any story arises having some political hue, it's going to be a liberal viewpoint. There's no such thing on Reddit except for the minimum wage. The only thing I've seen is the minimum wage. That's much closer to a meritorious discussion than anything else on Reddit. The rest is just a barnstorming circle jerk. It's just people, yeah, liberal ideals, which isn't wrong. That's what people do. That's what people do. You're talking with somebody and you say, da-da-da, and they say, yeah, that, and da-da-da, and you say, yeah, all right, yeah. And that's normal. But I encourage you all to go look there because it's an interesting thing to see because that idea of people working themselves up into a tizzy, that idea of we are going to start speaking, and we are going to the conversation is going to bootstrap us into something. It's going to bootstrap us into being emotional. It's going to bootstrap us into being angry, or it's going to bootstrap us into action or something. It's just something will appear almost as if from nothing. And it's interesting to watch those kinds of things happen on Reddit. And one microcosm of that would be what's going on the Painkiller Already subreddit right now, which is for whatever, it's like a standing wave. It's like a rogue wave. When you have in the ocean, when you have a bunch of waveforms, essentially, water is the medium, I guess, through which the waves propagate. I think. I'm fucking that up, I know. But when you have a bunch of waves just in a field, right? You just got a bunch of waves, and they're different. Let's say they're random, right? And they're different frequencies and different wavelengths, and they're all different. But because it's seemingly random, and keep in mind Reddit isn't random, and it tends to be already people with like minds, add on to each other. But if it was completely random, eventually at some point, if you watch this field with all these waves long enough, eventually there would be one wave that adds perfectly to another. And that added wave fits perfectly with another one and another one and another one on top of it until it cannot be canceled out by any other wave. There's any other wave in the field, because for those of you, wave, if they're offset, I believe by if they're offset by a half wavelength, they cancel. But if they are completely harmonized, they add. And they double. And then if you add it again, you add and add and add. And that's apparently, and I'm way out over my skis here, apparently that's one of the ideas for the original formation of the universe, was that there was just a quantum foam of energy. And there were just waves of, I think, energy or quantum energy. I don't even know. And then the waves added, and then bam, singularity. I believe that's Lawrence Krauss. I want to say that's Krauss that populated or postulated the idea of the quantum foam and that whole thing. And you see that, and that is that oddly enough, we think it's a one possible theorem of the formation of the universe. We also see it in the ocean. When you see rogue waves in the ocean, they fuck up ships, and you're like, oh my fucking God, it's like a 150-foot wave, son of a bitch. How did that happen? And it's like, well, that's waves adding on to one another, and you've just got all of a sudden a big fucking thing coming to get you. And we also see it in human interaction. And I like to think of Reddit and Reddit crusades, and especially with r/PKA now, the standing wave is outrage. That's the standing wave. It'll eventually die down. It will eventually lose energy, or will eventually be canceled out by some other standing wave, which will probably be the return of Merca Durka tonight. I'm painkiller already. But it will be canceled out. But right now, there's a standing wave of outrage. And I encourage you to go to Reddit, not just reddit.com/PKA, just any place on Reddit, and look for that and see if you see that. If all of a sudden you're like, man, this thread started out as they're talking about one thing, and all of a sudden everybody's really pissed off about this or that, and now we're talking about this, and why is this comment the top posted thing, and why is everybody so upset about this? It's not a condemnation of Reddit. It's just, that's a pretty cool thing that, despite it can be used for bad, it can be used for good, but I think that's a pretty cool thing that humans can do. We kind of just get together and we say, oh, yeah, okay. And then somebody says something else, and well, that builds, and somebody says something else, and well, that builds, and it builds, and it builds until people are all of a sudden really pissed off or really happy or something. I think it's just a really cool facet of the human experience, and I don't know how to further or better articulate that. I don't know if that's a property. Oh shit, I don't even fucking know. I'm not a philosopher. Standing waves of humanity. That sounds like a great band name. I'm gonna write that one. Where's my pen? There we go. Standing Waves of Humanity. That is a great band name. Maybe soft rock. Standing Waves of Humanity. Yeah, it sounds like a soft rock band, maybe. It can't be. Standing Waves of Humanity is a little bit too science-y for country. Not enough God worked in. There's not enough angle for God to be worked into Standing Waves of Humanity. But I think maybe some soft rock, or maybe a little punkish, maybe. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Tweet me. What kind of band do you think Standing Waves of Humanity would be? Gospel? No. Speaking of humanity and just oddities that we see a lot, we're going to get to the news later in the show, but I was browsing Reddit again, speaking of Reddit, and there was some question about political campaigns or something, and there was a political typology quiz posted, linked. And I took it, and I was going through the questions, and I found them a bit odd. And somebody had asked me previously on the PK subreddit and via Twitter to take a political spectrum quiz. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking. Oh, it was a data is beautiful post, and there were a bunch of political affiliations that made no sense, like Young Leftists, or it sounds like me. That's another great band name, Young Leftists. God, I'm on a roll today. There's a bunch of weird stuff, like original stark conservatives, hard-pressed skeptics, and I said, what the fuck do these all mean? And I went into the comments, and it linked to this political typology quiz. And going through, I thought the questions were just really dumb. Some of them were just really like, what? What? Why not both? Or why can't this be that? Or, well, this does play into that. And it gets more to my point of why do we have this constant need in our society to, are you a liberal or are you a conservative? Are you a Democrat or are you a Republican? Are you a hard-pressed skeptic or are you a staunch conservative? Why do we have these? Why is political discourse now whittled down to what are you? Why do we have to be so just, and I believe it's a facet of our on-the-go, constant on-the-move society that no longer do you have the opportunity to actually discuss things with people. Like, what do you think about this, Jim? And Jim says, well, they always start off, well, as a conservative. And I want to grab Jim by his fucking throat and say, no, Jim, tell me what you think. Tell me what Jim, apparently not able to think for himself, cocksucker, think. What do you believe? What do you think? Tell me, what do you know? What do you say? Don't tell me what you've been taught to believe by conservatives or what you think you're a conservative, and conservatives are against the big government. And so anything big government, well, I'm against that. No, what do you think in this specific instance? Let's take a time to have some discussion and discourse on it. And we don't do that anymore. And it results in some pretty silly things being said or asked in this specific case. And so what I'm going to do on the show is I am going to retake this political typology quiz live on the show for you. So here's what we're going to do. This is the political typology quiz. This is people-press.org. I will link it in the description of the of the YouTube video, so you can take it along with me if you want. Now, it asks 23 questions, and I'll go through and answer each question along with offering up my thoughts on the question itself if I find it to be weird. And the point of this exercise is for you to go, what the fuck? Why? What the fuck is this question? Right off the bat, question number one, and all of these are the same. Which of the following statements comes closest to your view? That's the emboldened part, is comes closest to your view. Which of the following statements come closest to your view? Question one. Government regulation for business is necessary to protect the public interest. Or, government regulation of business usually does more harm than good. That's the two. And wait a second. Wait a second. Isn't the first one usually used as an answer to the second one? Government intrusion is bad. And somebody says, well, for you maybe, but it's necessary to protect the public interest. Why is... and who harm than good? Harm to whom? Good for whom? Does more harm than good? I don't fucking know. The government intrusion in the child sex trade may do more harm than good. For whom? I don't know. If I'm some businessman in Thailand and I want to go on some weird, crazy sex trip, well, it's going to do more harm than good because my conception of good is not wrapped up in the lives of the children that I'm looking to pay to get. But is government regulation in business necessary? Is it necessary to protect the public interest? Well, they're not mutually exclusive. It could be both. I could say government regulation of business usually does more harm than good, at least from the business perspective. However, the government regulation of business is necessary to protect the public interest. Where's that option? But it has to be whittled down. This or that. A or B. C or D. True or false. And we go everywhere, and there's no short essay section. There's nothing like that. It's just A or B. Okay. Well, to me, government regulation of business is necessary to protect the public interest. Next question. Most people, again, which of the following comes closest to your view? Most people who want to get ahead can make it if they're willing to work hard, or hard work and determination are no guarantee of success for most people. What? Huh? I mean, I can live in a world where I think most people who want to get ahead can make it if they're willing to work hard. Yeah, but just because you're willing to work hard doesn't mean that you're going to get the success. You're not even going to get the opportunity to do it. Hard work and determination are no guarantee of success for most people. Well, that's practically true, but that doesn't mean that people can't succeed. If you want to succeed, you have to work hard and have the opportunity. Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. Is that not the axiom that we've all been telling each other for a long-ass time? It's been in weight rooms, and it's been a sports cliche. It's been a business cliche for a long time. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity, or something like that. So yeah, most people who want to get ahead can make it if they're willing to work hard. Yes, you have to work hard if you're given the opportunity to make it. But just because you're willing to work hard does not mean you'll be given the opportunity. Thus, hard work and determination are no guarantee for success in most people. Am I fucking crazy? Am I crazy? But anyway, probably. I'd say hard work and determination are no guarantee of success for most people. Which of the following statements come closest to your view? Blah, 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 blah. This country should do whatever it takes to protect the environment, or this country has gone too far in its efforts to protect the environment. What? What do you... I mean, again, perspective. This country should do whatever it takes to protect the government or the environment. It seems pretty harsh. I guess this country has gone... But the other side of that is this country has gone too far. Why can't I say, well, I don't know, they should make a reasonable decision on a case-by-case basis and not completely throw out fossil fuels and our reliance on them, but we should probably be looking for other things, but we shouldn't be stupid and throw money down the drain on stupid shit that isn't practical. Like, I don't know, solar freaking roadways? No, hipster douchebag. Way too expensive, won't work. But this country's gone too far? But I don't believe that they should do whatever it takes, so I guess the country has gone too far. Which of these two? Using overwhelming military force is the best way to defeat terrorism around the world, or relying too much on military force to defeat terrorism creates hatred that leads to more terrorism. Not necessarily mutually exclusive, but I guess relying too much on military force to defeat terrorism causes hatred that leads to more terrorism. Exactly. If I'm a father in Afghanistan and my wife and child are killed by a drone strike because they attended the wrong wedding, well, I'm going to be pretty fucking pissed. And the next day, I'm going to climb those fucking mountains and find Al-Qaeda and strap a bomb to my chest. Great. Oh, I'm going to be drone striked, son of a bitch. Which of the following statements comes closest? Racial discrimination is the main reason why many black people can't get ahead these days, or blacks who can't get ahead in this country are mostly responsible for their own condition. I'm going to say, you know what? You make your lot in life a lot of the time. Sometimes shit doesn't go your way, and it's not always racist. Sometimes you just have a constitutional right to a shitty parent or shitty parents. And that's not racially discriminatory, is it? You just have shitty parents. And so you're not going to have a bunch of the things that we think we need for success. Of course, there's going to be the one in a million shot that makes it, but yeah. So yeah, sometimes it's not all racial. Sometimes you have control and sometimes you don't have control, but it's certainly not racially charged all the time. Which of the following statements? Business corporations make too much profit, or most corporations make a fair and reasonable amount of profit. Business corporations make way too much profit. That's what we're doing here. Poor people today have it easy because they can get government benefits without doing anything in return, or poor people have hard lives because government benefits don't go far enough to help them live decently. Again, these two statements are about completely different things. Poor people today have it easy because they can get government benefits without doing anything in return. Well, that's kind of true. But those benefits are shit. So they have hard lives because government benefits don't go far enough to help them live decently. What the fuck? Poor people have hard lives because government benefits don't go far enough to help them live decently. Because you know what? I worked as a supermarket checker, and those people that were coming through using food stamps or the EBT card, they didn't look too happy about having to use the food stamps or the EBT card. Which of the following is it's best for the future of our country to be active in world affairs, or we should pay less attention to problems overseas and concentrate on problems here at home? Yeah, our economy is shit. I think we should focus on that. Which of the following statements? It is not necessary to believe in God in order to be moral and have good values. Well, that's just... yeah! Woo! It is not necessary to believe in good. Which of the following? The growing number of newcomers from other countries threatens traditional American customs and values of tax dodging and slave holding and white men of property? I don't think that's challenged too much. So the growing number of newcomers from other countries strengthens American society. I don't fucking know. Wait, why does it have to be either the really good or the really not so good, depending on your perspective? Government is almost always wasteful and inefficient. Government often does a better job than people give it credit for. Which of the following? Putting the man on the moon was certainly, without question, wasteful and inefficient. They paid too much, it cost too much, and it could have been done for less. But they fucking did it, and there was nobody else at the time, no other private corporation that could have done it better, or even approaching on the level of what NASA did. Yeah, it was wasteful and it cost too much, but they fucking did it, and nobody else can do it otherwise. No private... Elon Musk isn't putting fucking Curiosity on the Martian surface. It's not going to Mars. What... And we just, people are like, where are you on the political spectrum? How can people answer these questions without saying, excuse me, can I have more paper? I'd like more paper, please. I was always one of those kids, like 3-page essay. I'm like, well, I need more paper. They're like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I need another packet of that loose leaf stuff. Because yes, the government is almost always wasteful and inefficient, but it also does a better job than most people give it credit for. Because, yeah, collecting taxes is wasteful and inefficient. Can you collect the taxes from the 250, 300 million Americans living in this country? Or how many of that percentage, what percentage of those people pay taxes? And now my political fate is going to be decided. Forevermore, I'm going to have to say, well, I'm this. But I can't answer the question honestly because it's a simple binary choice. I don't know. Government often does a better job than people give it credit for. I think. Which one of these? Society is better off if people make marriage and having children a priority. Society is just as well off if people have priorities other than marriage and children. I don't think we have to have the priority of marriage and having children. No, we're a society. We're not animals. I mean, we are animals. Which of the following? Too much power is concentrated in the hands of a few large companies. Well, that's just all we need to hear right there. Bam! Too much power. Which of the following statements comes closest to your view? The best way to ensure peace is through military strength. Good diplomacy is the best way to ensure peace. This, you see, is the common question when playing Civilization. Do you want to go for a military victory? Or do you want to go for a diplomatic victory? Now, military victory necessitates, as a person who believes that you can't fight racism with racism, I likewise don't believe that you should ensure peace by necessarily, at least on a large scale, threatening violence. Because that's not really peace, that's just lack of violence. You're not really achieving peace for the betterment of society. You're just achieving lack of violence with threat of violence. So good diplomacy is the best way to ensure peace, I guess, unless you're in Benghazi. Which of the following? Success in life is pretty much determined by forces outside of your control, or everyone has it in their own power to succeed. Why do they have? They're not diametrically opposed. Because even if I do have it in my power to succeed, but it also relies heavily on things outside of my control. Success in life is pretty much determined by forces outside of your control. Which of the following statements? Homosexuality should be accepted by society. Homosexuality should be discouraged by society. Again, accepted is not the antithesis of discouraged. we should discourage homosexuality, or homosexuality should be accepted. We should be fine with homosexuality, but we should not discourage people from saying, I don't like homosexuality, because we're not the thought police. Oh, Jesus, homosexuality should be accepted by society, I guess. Because I don't believe there's anything fundamentally wrong with these people, but it's just like, damn it. Americans need to be willing to give up privacy and freedom in order to be safe from terrorism, or Americans shouldn't have to give up privacy and freedom in order to be safe from terrorism. Americans shouldn't have to give up privacy and freedom. You all know that. Government aid to poor does more harm than good by making people too dependent on government assistance, or government aid to the poor does more good than harm because people can't get out of poverty until their basic needs are met. You see, finally, a question that isn't necessarily both. Fine, thank you. Oh, government aid to the poor does more good than harm because people can't get out of poverty until their basic needs are met. Exactly. Oh, you don't have anything to eat? You don't have a pot to piss in? Well, just better yourself, bro. Go learn a trade. How the fuck is a guy that doesn't have a pot to piss in going to go learn a trade? Not that he shouldn't go learn a trade, or she shouldn't go learn a trade, but how the fuck are they going to do it? Stricter environmental laws and regulations cost too many jobs and hurt the economy. Stricter environmental laws and regulations are worth the cost. No, seriously, I'm going to read this question again. Or these two again, because they could be parlayed in the exact same sentence and make sense. Okay, here they are separately. Stricter environmental laws and regulations cost too many jobs and hurt the economy. Stricter environmental laws and regulations are worth the cost. Okay, now I'm going to put them together and make sense. Stricter environmental laws and regulations cost too many jobs and hurt the economy, but stricter environmental laws and regulations are worth the cost because the environment is worth it. They can be put together and make the same amount of sense. I don't know. They cost too many jobs and hurt the economy, but they are kind of worth the cost. What the fuck am I supposed to say here? And again, how people view me politically relies on my answer. I'm going to say that they cost too many jobs and hurt the economy, even though they kind of make sense together. Our country, which of these two, our country has made the changes needed to give blacks equal rights with whites, or our country needs to continue making changes to give blacks equal rights with equal rights. By the way, can we just say minorities? Why do they have to be blacks? Why gotta pick on the black guy? Racist? This thing's racist. I'm going to say our country has made the changes needed to give blacks equal rights with whites. We got equal rights. It's in the fucking Constitution. Equal rights. It's what we got. Equal opportunity does not mean equal success. That's my take on it. Which of the following U.S. efforts to solve problems around the world usually end up making things worse, or problems in the world would be even worse without U.S. involvement? I'm going to put these two together. U.S. efforts to solve problems around the world usually end up making things worse, but the problems in and of themselves around the world would be even worse without U.S. involvement. So we got to get in there. I'm going to say U.S. efforts to solve problems around the world usually end up making things worse. Although I don't know how you could make Israel and Palestine any worse. It seems pretty bad. I don't know how the U.S. could make it any really worse, or I don't know how it could get any worse on its own. Which of these two the government should do more to help needy Americans, even if it means going deeper into debt, or the government today can't afford to do much more to help the needy? What the what the fuck? Even if it means going deeper into debt, the government today can't afford. They're the same thing. We can't afford it, but we should go deeper into debt to help these people. I'm sorry. If you've gone through this bit, in this funny little radio bit that I'm doing here, what do these questions even mean? They're the same, but they're different, and people take these quizzes like, oh, well, I'm a conservative, or I'm a this or that, and so now I'm going to go through everything saying, well, I'm a conservative, and now what do conservatives believe? Oh, blah, 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 blah. Just answer the fucking questions. Make a meritorious argument to anything that pops up. What are your thoughts on abortion? Not as a conservative, I believe abortion is wrong. Just, oh, well, I think abortion, certainly in the case of rape and incest, well, that's just, come on. You got to be able to give the woman the right to do that. And I think it should be permissible to abort fetuses and certainly during the first 2 trimesters. And if that means we have to accept a woman who has an abortion just so she can go on a trip to a vacation to France, well, we're just going to have to accept that, because it also means that the woman who loses her job or doesn't have a job and winds up pregnant can also get an abortion even though she wasn't raped. We're going to have to accept some of the bad with the good that we decide. But no, it's all, well, I'm religious, so no, or I'm atheist, so yes. I hate this. The government should... I mean, the government today can't afford to do much more, but I think we should help more people. What the fuck? Even if it means going deeper into debt, I think no, because the government today can't do much more to afford to help the needy. We can put that onus on private businesses, and we don't have to expand welfare programs necessarily, and we can cut spending and then revisit the issue. Which of the following final 23 of 23 immigrants today strengthen our country because of their hard work and talents, or immigrants today are a burden on our country because they take our job, took our jobs, housing and healthcare? Well, we're all immigrants, so immigrants today strengthen our country because of their hard work and talents, I guess. But there are also immigrants who don't work and aren't talented and do turker gerbs and housing and healthcare. There are those people. But we should just accept the good with the bad. We accept the guys that come over and are like really down to work really hard. But in order to get those people, we also have to accept the ones that just come over and have kids so they can be U.S. citizens and then are just on the public dole for the rest of their lives. That's what we have to deal with. All right, let's get our results here. Your best fit lefty is the next generation left. Woo, next generation, baby. Yeah. Along with 12% of the public. But I hope I've shown throughout this entire bit that that's bullshit and doesn't really mean anything. These don't mean anything. And you know, you can ask people all day, "Oh, take this political spectrum quiz. Take this political spectrum quiz." But why are we trying to whittle down something as important and complex as political discourse and political action into are you this or are you that? That shouldn't be done. We just should not do that. Federal law, if need be, should not be done because it incentivizes just people to make snap judgments without actually really thinking about anything. Like, oh, well, just as a conservative, da-da-da-da-da. There's no discourse anymore. It's binary, this or that. Even if you try to cloak it in, well, what's closest to your beliefs? You get 2, at best 4. That's just, no. So yeah, I'm a next generation left. I guess that works. Next generation lefty. See, there we go. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. Mark it down. But if you were paying attention throughout that entire thing, I looked at the question and said, what is this even? These are the same thing, or these are completely different things. They're not even on opposite sides of the spectrum. They're on different spectrums. They're 2 different statements talking about 2 completely different things, and people everywhere will just go and take it. I'm a solid liberal. I'm a faith and family left. I'm a next generation left. So the breakdown of next generation left, for those of you that are interested. Generally young, well-educated, and financially comfortable, the next generation left have very liberal attitudes on many issues, including homosexuality, abortion, the environment, and foreign policy. While overall supportive of an activist government, most are wary of expanding the social safety net. Most also have relatively positive views of Wall Street's impact on the economy. You know that's not true. If you listen to this show, you know it's not true. While most affiliate with the Democratic Party or lean Democratic, few consider themselves strong Democrats. Does that fit me at all? Parts of it, yeah, but parts of it are complete bullshit. I say Wall Street criminals like all the time. But I'm a next generation left, so I guess I like Wall Street now. No, get that shit out of here. Political discourse can no longer be given in quiz form. It's a mandate. All right, we're getting a little late in the show. Let's do some quick news. We got a few things to talk about in the news today. Not an incredible amount. because we're getting a little late in the show. A man who shot at police officers during a no-knock raid acquitted on all charges. The police back off plan in other news to take explicit photo of an erect teenager's penis. The Albuquerque Police Department is to buy 350 AR-15 rifles and a $2,000 bond set for East Tennessee mom charged under a new law for smoking meth while pregnant. We'll talk about, hopefully, some of these things, probably just a few, as we close out the Lefty Show. It's the news with Lefty. All right, so we got to talk about this mom thing, because this is a pretty big deal to me. This is a pretty big deal. We talked about abortion just recently when when I took the political quiz and you listened. This is from WBIR.com. Monroe County. Bond is now set for the East Tennessee mother charged with assault after she and her newborn baby tested positive for drugs. A judge set a $2,000 bond for Mallory Loyola, jail officials tell WBIR. She also has a court date set for later this month. Loyola is the first mother to be charged under Tennessee's new law that allows prosecutors to pursue legal action against women who use drugs while pregnant. Mallory Loyola, 26 of Madisonville, gave birth to a baby girl on Sunday, July 6th. 2 days later, Loyola was arrested and charged with simple assault. The Monroe County Sheriff's Office said Loyola and her young daughter both tested positive for amphetamine at the University of Tennessee Medical Center. Deputies say Loyola admitted to smoking meth 3 to 4 days before giving birth to her child. State officials say to their knowledge, Loyola is the first in the state to be charged under a new Tennessee law that took effect on July 1st. The new law states, quote, a woman may be prosecuted for assault if the illegal use of a narcotic for the illegal use of a narcotic drug while pregnant, if her child is born addicted to or harmed by the narcotic drug. It's sad to see a child not getting an opportunity to come drug-free and given a chance. We want to see our children have a chance in life, said Monroe County Sheriff Bill Bivens. Children need the chance, and it's sad when you see children who come out born into the world already addicted to drugs. Loyola has an arrest history with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office that dates back to August 2012. She's faced several charges of possession of methamphetamine and violation of probation and has spent some time behind bars. No bond has yet been set for Loyola regarding her newest charge of simple assault. She remains in Monroe County Jail. So that was the previous story on the initial arrest. So now, what we have in society is, while the idea of protecting unborn children from their drug-addicted parents is certainly noble in its morality, in practicality, what we are saying is that the state now has an interest in what you do. You can now commit a crime on a child, at least in Tennessee. God-fearing state, of course. Now you can commit a crime on a child who hasn't been born. Okay? Now, when it applies to meth and hardcore drugs, the nobility is easy. You say, well, duh. Yeah, oh, that's great. Yeah, that's a good idea. We shouldn't do that. And a law is one way to go about trying to reduce that in society. Simple sociology, I suppose. You pass a law so that to disincentivize people from doing things. The logic goes that if murder wasn't illegal, there would be more murders. If smoking pot wasn't illegal, people would be high all the time. And that works in some cases, doesn't work in others. But now the state of Tennessee has said, if you're smoking illicit drugs while you're pregnant and we can prove it, we're going to charge you with assault because you have committed a crime on your unborn child. You have committed assault on your child. So now consuming drugs while pregnant is an assault. And my simple question is, what about drinking? What about smoking cigarettes? What about driving too fast? What about doing anything dangerous? What about putting anybody in danger? Can you now endanger a pregnant child? What if I get in a bar fight with some methed out whore in Tennessee and she happens to be pregnant and I give her a swift uppercut to the gut? I don't know she's pregnant because she's a methed out whore. And I punched her in her gut. and I bruised the baby's skull. Did I now commit assault on her and her unborn child? A whole bunch of crazy things start happening when you start treating unborn fetuses as humans. And George Carlin said it best, we don't count them in the census. If they're not humans, why aren't they counted in the census? Why aren't we taxed? Why aren't they taxed? They're not, because we don't treat them legally as humans until they're born. We don't treat them as legal persons until they're born. Now, for the most part. Now in Tennessee we do. And again, while the initial charge is noble, there's a whole lot of things that flow from this that don't make a whole lot of sense. And also, I want to know how the police got in their hands. How do you get your hands on a drug test? Who ran that? Who ran the drug test on the mother and her child? And who reported it to police? Does the mother not have HIPAA protection? Does the legal person whom you are going to protect from assault via their mother by way of legislation, do they not have HIPAA protection anymore too? Now, if you test positive for an illicit substance, you can go to police? That seems rather disturbing. I don't know if I like that. And now that there's a foot in the door for assault, now you can commit assault on an unborn child, especially if you're the mother. Well, leave alone for the minute the scenario in which I'm punching in the gut a methed out whore. Now, okay, you're a mother. Say you get an abortion. In the state of Tennessee, this is not to imply a slippery slope, but think about it. If we're treating unborn fetuses or feti, if we're treating feti as legal persons who can have criminal torts committed upon them by their parents, what about abortion? Is that murder? Can you now, or is there a precedent set for legislation in Tennessee and other God-fearing red states where a mother can now be charged with murder for having an abortion? Because, well, we're protecting children. We're protecting the lives of the unborn. And what's more noble than actually protecting the lives of the unborn by saying it's illegal to have an abortion and you're going to be charged with murder if you have an abortion? This is the logic that flows from what was a noble thought, what was a moral thought. And I get some flack from people, oh, you don't have a moral compass, you only talk about legal stuff. And I say, well, this is why. Because police give less than a shit about morality. Police care about the law. Prosecutors care about the law. I am the law. That's what they care about. And so I'll make a moral argument for, it's a really good idea that we should not have pregnant mothers who are going to bring a full-term baby into this world smoking methamphetamine or smoking cigarettes or drinking copious amounts of alcohol or any alcohol. Sure, that's a good idea. That's a nice moral sentiment. But now when you codify that moral sentiment by saying we are going to treat the fetus in the womb as a human or as a legal person and you can commit assault upon them, I say, well, hold on a second. Wait a minute. Your originally moral law has now become ridiculous. Because now there's all these crazy things that can happen and all these crazy questions I have. Like, again, if I'm punching a methed out whore in a bar fight, can I commit assault on her unborn child? How the fuck am I supposed to know that there's a child in there? How the fuck am I supposed to know? How do I have a reasonable opportunity to not punch the methed out whore in her stomach if she's trying to claw my eyes out? But in the state of Tennessee, they just say, oh, morality, yay, Jesus. And of course, the morality comes from the Bible, and that's okay. But this is why there needs to be a filter between strict morality and law. Because when you try to infuse morality, so much morality, because what is law if not an attempt at taking a snapshot of some kind of morality? But when you try to go to a strict one-to-one morality to law ratio, you get crazy shit like this. So should Mallory Loyola been smoking methamphetamine while she was pregnant with her child? No, of course not. And she's an idiot and an awful mother and immoral. But getting back to a point I espoused earlier, you have a constitutional right to have shitty parents. You have, it makes no sense to say you have a reasonable expectation to be free from shitty parents. Your parents may be shitty. Your parents may be poor. They may be drug addicts. They may be smoked or drank too much while you were in the womb. You have no reasonable protection from that because you are not you, at least in the eyes of the law, until you are born and given a birth certificate and put in the system. You are not you until then. But we just, oh yeah, well, no, morality though, just morality. It's moral. It's good. It's good. It's good. Well, when you're talking about officiating humans, when you're talking about us, our American society, there's a reason law isn't a 1-to-1 morality ratio. There's a reason there's a filter. There's a reason law is broad and often cold and not emotional. And that's why I believe emotional laws and morality laws you can't legislate that. It's too hard. And it leads to nonsensical things like, what about punching a methed out pregnant whore? What's that about? What's that all about? I want to know that I can go free punching methed out whores in the stomach from being charged with an erroneous assault charge. I want to be free from erroneous assault charges because I engage in the national pastime of punching methed out whores. All right, let's bring it home. Woo, another great edition of The Lefty Show. I hope you all enjoyed. I had a great time putting on the show for you. I hope you had a great time listening. Thank you to everybody for watching, liking, favoriting, and subscribing on YouTube. YouTube.com/LeftyOX. That's where you can go to find the show in its YouTube formation. You can also find gaming content and the vlogging content there. YouTube.com/LeftyOX. You want to follow me on Twitter? You can do so. Twitter.com/Lefty643 or just at Lefty643. Stay up to date on all the latest and greatest Lefty Show as well as my musings in between shows. Thank you to everybody, really honestly, for sharing the show. And thank you to everybody that will share the show with friends, family, and perhaps your co-worker, helping us climb the ranks of the YouTube or iTunes comedy listings. Head on over to leftyshow.podbean.com to manually subscribe to the RSS feed, or go to your favorite podcasting app, Android or iTunes, and search The Lefty Show and find us there. That's The Lefty Show on iTunes. Thank you to everybody for donating. I'mRacing.com/643 Productions. Thank you to everybody for joining. Have a great weekend. I'll catch you next time. I'm out. Bye. Everybody has affinity for cock.